I guarantee you if I was standing there with more money, I would have rebuilt the entire place and helped that guy. There's nothing wrong with having money when your mind and your heart is focused on God. If you're like me, you have a heart for missions and may have already done some missions work yourself, but you also see some huge issues in the way missions are being done. Like, why are we still sending out monthly newsletters in a digital age when technology allows for instant updates in the palm of your hand? Or why are we convinced that we need to raise 2 years' support before going when all 12 disciples dropped what they were doing and walked away? Or why are we allowing denominations to decide who can and cannot go do what God is calling them to do just because of things they've done in their past? And at what point did we brand following Christ to be a life of scarcity and sacrifice when it's truly a life of abundance and privilege? These are some of the glaring questions in the missions world today. And Watch Missions Live is here to reshape the way you see missions. It's time for missionaries to rise up, create a shift in perspective, a change, a revolution in the way things are done, and give you the real story, one of abundance, fulfillment, and privilege. My name is Aaron Jennings, and welcome to Watch Missions Live. Now, the problems that we see in the Christian world, in the missions mindset of the world, is nothing more than cultural, okay? But it's the thought that making money is bad or ungodly or evil. There's a lot of Christians out there that seem to have a problem with making money because of that one Bible verse. The love of all money is the root of all evil. The love of money, not the money itself. The more money you make, the more people you can help. I guarantee you that if I was standing in the slums of Kenya where we stood and people were living in trash igloos and the guy was dying on the dirt as we walked by and everybody's like, well, there's nothing we can do for him. And they're just waiting for him to die. I guarantee you if I was standing there with more money, I would have rebuilt the entire place and helped that guy. There's nothing wrong with having money when your mind and your heart is focused on God. So the love of money is evil, not the money itself. This is one of the problems we're going to fix. We're going to educate you on it. Missionaries are afraid to post pictures that make it look like they're having too much fun or that they're doing too good because they're afraid that they're going to actually lose support, which means they're not relying on God. Whether they realize it or not, they're trusting God. They're going out seeking Him, going doing the missions work. But if I am afraid to post a picture because of what you might think about it, and that you might not donate to my ministry next year, then that means that I believe my money is coming from you and not from God. So we need to fix that. We need to get missionaries focused on God first, period. Not worried about money or your opinions. They need to be focused on God 100% of the time with 100% of their hearts and minds. And nobody should be hindering that at all. We should be supporting them where they're at, helping them seek deeper into what God wants, and then going with them there, or just leaving them and just getting away from them. If you're not for what God's telling them to do, then support them in it or leave them alone. Donor control, number 3. Donations drop off. People quit giving if they think the missionaries are having too much fun. I have heard people say this. They don't like to see missionaries that they're giving money to get a nice steak dinner. It's okay for Christians that are working with jobs, but not if I give my hard-earned money to a missionary. He shouldn't be able to go out and have a steak dinner. They should eat off the streets and be, they can have something nice from time to time, but if I see them, eating out all the time, I'm not okay with that, and I'm not going to continue to give. This is a problem on the donor side. Just because you believe you've given some money to missionaries because God's called you to give, that doesn't mean that you have the right to dictate what they do with it. Once you give that money to them, you have done what God has asked you to do with the money that He gave you, not the hard-earned money that you made. It's the money that He gave you. You were faithful by giving when He told you to give. Now it's between that missionary and God what they do with it. Every one of us are human beings. We're sinful on both sides. We need to stop judging each other. We need to start understanding that the money is coming from God on both sides so that we're not dependent on people to give it, and we're not dependent on, or we're not judging what they do with it and taking it away like it's ours. It was all given to us by God on both sides. Missionaries should be struggling and broke. That seems to be pretty normal in the way we think about missionaries. That's the reason we think that it's a scarcity and a sacrifice, is because we think they should be broke. Because as soon as they start making money, we take that away from them and we stop donating it to them. So this is, whether we realize that's what we're saying or not, this is the way we treat them. The current culture does not value missions work. That's why we don't pay for it. When I brought up Watch Missions Live and said we were going to start charging people a monthly entertainment fee, the same as Netflix, Amazon, everything else that you use every single day, the question I got was, well, why should I have to pay to watch missions work? Because telling people about Christ determines heaven or hell. And as a Christian, you believe that heaven is eternity with Christ and hell is eternity in hell with the devil. That would be the most important job on earth, is telling people about heaven and helping people get there. So why should you pay for missions work? Why would you not want to watch something like that be done every single day all around the world? You need to shift your perspective. Hey, thank you for your time. Please remember to rate and subscribe. After being a full-time missionary, I got tired of people looking at me like it must be really hard to do what you do. And they'd say things like, I'd love to be able to do something like that, but insert excuse. When the real reason was because they saw what we were doing as a sacrifice. That to do missions work, they would have to give up everything. That quite honestly was forcing them to do things they didn't like, for people they couldn't stand, so they could afford things that they didn't need. The truth is, as full-time missionaries, it was one of the few times in my life when I was truly fulfilled. It was the closest to God I'd ever been. Debt-free, not stressed, and living the life of an adventure I'd always wanted. If you too believe that it's time for a change, then head over to watchmissionslive.com and join the revolution.